Welcome back to Titanic Week, I'm Viking Historian. I'm Lucas Berry. Today we wrap up the week with a look at the ship's legacy and the aftermath of the sinking. We'll start with the aftermath. Carpathia arrived at around 4:30 a.m. and continued loading survivors in lifeboats throughout the morning. She arrived in New York on April 18, 1912 at around 9:15 p.m. After that, there was an inquiry launched by the United States Congress, and then later, once Titanic's crew members had sailed back to England, Parliament in the UK opened up their investigation into the sinking. Among the notable effects of the sinking in terms of a legacy the ship leaves behind is that now boats have to carry enough lifeboats for everyone on board. They are no longer seen as just ferries between a stricken ship and a rescue ship. Also, we look for icebergs, more in depth and better because of Titanic. We don't want another Titanic to happen. And now for a less practical legacy, if you will, but a legacy nonetheless. I'm recording this today, April 15th, 2021. And yesterday I was watching a real-time live stream here on YouTube of the sinking of the RMS Titanic. And I was reading the comments, and it amazed me just how many people were commenting and who were watching. I think at one point the stream was up to 1,600 people. More than who died that night were watching. And that was just one stream. There were actually several going on. It wasn't just that one stream. And it got me thinking about just how important and how powerful Titanic's story is to this day. It got me thinking about how people came to know the ship and to fall in love with the story. I still remember when I fell in love with it. I was in a local library in Ansted, West Virginia. I saw a book on Titanic. I picked it up, and from then on, it was game over. I was interested from that point on. Any book I could read about Titanic, or with the story loosely based around Titanic, I did. Because I wanted to learn more. I wanted to hear about this ship. I wanted to hear about their stories, and I wanted to learn more. Then you have people who were introduced in the movie. James Cameron's 1997 classic Titanic, which I happen to love. And so you have people who are coming for the story of Jack and Rose and leaving with an appreciation for the Titanic as a whole. You may have people who see something on TV and they come across it and they are automatically enthralled with what they hear, with what they see. It doesn't matter how you came to love Titanic. What matters is that you stay and that you have a conviction within you to share her story and to never let these stories die. That's why I did this. I felt it within my heart to do a video on Titanic. And then I started thinking about, you know what? Let's make this into bite-sized pieces so everyone, even if they've never heard of the ship, can get some kind of background, even if it is rather simple background on Titanic. Let's make it accessible for everyone. And that's exactly why I did this. That is the exact reason as to why I sat in my little home office, if you will, and did these videos. Because I felt the need to do it. That's what Titanic can do to you. This is not something that should be kept to yourself. It's something that you should feel the need to share what you want, what you feel passionate about. And I was thinking about it last night as they were talking about it. I was thinking about how it's not just the 1,496 that died. It's the 700 some who survived. Because no survivors are left. The last surviving passenger died in 2009. Her name was Miss Melvina Dean, and she was only 3 months old when she boarded Titanic. We all know there is no memory developed at 3 months old. So here we are, 2021. It's now 12 years since the last surviving passenger died that night. There is no one who was there that can tell us what happened. It is up to us to keep these stories going, and that's why we did this. That's why this is so important to me, and I sincerely hope that someone watching this, somewhere, has felt the need to explore the ship more and to find something they are fascinated in. One of the people on the live stream I was watching has an affinity with the ship's wireless operators, Harold Bride and Jack Phillips. And the fact that because they broke the rules and fixed the Marconi machine, even though they really weren't supposed to, they ended up saving a lot of lives because the Carpathia heard them. Had they been running on auxiliary power, the Carpathia may not have even heard Titanic, and she would have just gone down. It would have been Titanic disappears, not Titanic sinks in the headlines. I myself am fascinated by the story of Thomas Andrews, the ship's designer, and the heroism he exemplified that night. Knowing his creation was going to go down and he was going to die that night, and yet he still urged people in a calm, orderly way to get to boat deck. And then as the ship was sinking, was last seen, according to some, throwing deck chairs over the side of the ship to help people in the water, much like if you watch the movie Titanic, you see the door scene with Jack and Rose, much like that. People can get on the deck chair and they can float in the water instead of being submerged in 28-degree Fahrenheit water. That is -2 degrees Celsius. It was cold. Actually, it was 34 degrees. Either way, it was cold water, and you don't last long in cold water. You just don't. So, Thomas Andrews is a hero in my eyes, and he died a hero that night. That's what Titanic can do to you. You can find these stories, and you can look from the heroism of Thomas Andrews to the heartbreak that is Captain Smith, who was supposed to retire after he got back to England and never made it. Instead, going down with the ship on what was to be his last voyage. Not because Titanic sank, but because he was supposed to retire. That's incredible. That is absolutely incredible. And a man who had boasted himself before that he had never been wrecked at sea. Well, we all know he was wrecked at sea. Bottom line is, I hope you enjoyed this week's videos. I know I enjoyed making them. I really did. I always enjoy putting this stuff together for you all, and I always enjoy learning and reading about Titanic. Even if it's stuff I've heard a million times before, I still find it interesting. And I still get emotional every April 14th as I'm preparing to watch a live stream or preparing to just sit around and think about the sinking. I always get emotional around this time of year, and that's why. Because Titanic has taken hold in my heart. That's why. So ladies and gentlemen, as I said, please, 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 please find something about this ship that you are interested in and explore it. Go deep. Do your own research. And keep this story alive. Help me keep these 2,200 souls alive. Because if we keep spreading their word and keep spreading their stories, they will never die. So please feel free to like the video if you like it, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and please share it with your friends. I cannot ask that enough. Please share it with your friends. And when you subscribe, if you do, and I hope you do, hit the bell to be notified when a new video is released. We're going to try to make this a little bit more frequent on this channel. Until then, for Like and Historian, I am Lucas Berry. Thank you so much for joining me this week, and please everyone be safe.